What is going on here? Let's speak to Tom Bradshaw, President of the National Farmers Union. Tom, first of all, I just want to say I am a huge, huge champion of farmers, and it's a real privilege having you on the programme today. Now, apparently, Sir Keir Starmer is standing firm on the farm inheritance tax proposals, despite the fact that, hopefully, I'm looking forward to coming along myself, despite the fact that there'll be protests. Why on earth is he not listening?
Look, I just don't understand. I know that they're only 4 months into government. I know it's difficult to admit that you've got something wrong. But unfortunately, they have got this policy wrong. And they just need to understand that the very farms they say they're protecting, the farms that produce this country's food, are right in the crosshairs of this policy. We are absolutely in the centre of it. And they say they're protecting the small family farm. The farms that they're protecting in this 73% are individual fields, are small holdings, are nice country houses with 30 acres. They're not the farms that produce the food that this country relies on.
Can you sort of break down, because I always think for the average person, no offence to my very erudite and brilliant listeners who probably understand far more than I do, crunching the numbers on here and getting stuck inside the maelstrom of government spin and then counter-protesting voices can leave one wondering what's going on. We know our gut feeling is we want to support you guys. Explain to us why this policy is so injurious to Britain's farmers.
It all goes back to food prices, really. And if you look at the last 4 or 5 decades, food price inflation hasn't kept up with real terms inflation. If our members were making a really good return on the asset from producing the country's food, they'd have absolutely no problem paying more tax. But the return on investment is only 0.5 to 1%. It's incredibly low. Many farms don't make a profit year to year, particularly with the challenges of the weather that we've seen over the last 12 to 18 months. So the returns are very, very low. Any money that is made is reinvested back in the farm so that we can continue to produce the country's food. And it's that investment which delivers food security for the future. The challenge now is that instead of investing in your farm to continue producing the country's food, you're going to have to start saving for your pension. You might have to have a life insurance policy. All things which previously we didn't have to fund and now are going to take priority over reinvesting in the very infrastructure that provides the food this country needs.
Now, we've done a little bit of number crunching here at Talk, or Mr. Freelove did, our brilliant news editor. And Rachel Reeves' department claims that 27% of farmers will be affected by this inheritance tax. And yet, DEFRA figures indicate the true figure could be well over 66%. What do you think, where do you think the truth is here? How many farmers are going to be affected by this?
We know the average farm size in England is 217 acres. By the time you put some buildings and a house and some livestock and tractors with that, it's going to be worth £3.5 to £4 million. That's just the average farm. So look, they're not all going to pay inheritance tax, but they all have to now prepare for the fact that they might. And there is the 7-year gifting rule, which is very good. But you have to be in a position where you don't need to draw any money, any returns out of that family business. Now, very few farmers are prepared for that because they've already been reinvesting everything back within the business. And the bit that is absolutely wrong is that until 1:30 on the 30th of October, the very best tax advice was to keep the asset until the end of life. Those elderly members of our community have now got an incredible pressure put on them because they've had absolutely no time to plan their way through this. And we had a government that said they recognised the mental health pressures, that said they wanted to rebuild the confidence of the industry, that said food security is national security, and yet we've seen nothing but the opposite.
And the way the government talk about farmers and the way that the figures might look to some, the suggestion is that farmers are living the life of Riley, that you're multi-millionaires with beautiful sweeping vistas of land, that, I don't know, you probably got secret islands in Barbados or something like that. What is the real situation of farming in the UK and life as a farmer, and if you have a family farm, when it comes to how well off you are?
Look, many, many farmers work day in, day out, 7 days a week. Very little time for holiday. We love what we do. We cherish the opportunity to look after this landscape that is so valued by British society. We love producing food for our great British consumers that we know they want to buy more of it. But we don't do this for the money. The reality is, though, we can't do it without the money. And the real danger now is that the returns are so low that very few farms, if they're in a position that they have to pay this inheritance tax, will be able to afford it. And if it is only 400 or 500 farms a year, is that okay? That 400 or 500 farms may have to be broken up, may reduce the food security? Is that all right? Is that what this country wants? I don't believe it is.
No, I certainly don't want to see that happen. I'd like to see more farming, not less farming. I want us to buy British and really stand by the brilliant produce that we make in this country. Higher welfare standards than most other countries. I mean, actually, we've got a lot of pastoral methods, a lot to be proud of. Now, are you guys going to be allowed to have your protest next week?
The police have been nothing but supportive of what's going on in London. We're organising as the NFU a mass lobbying event. We've got 1,800 members coming to meet with their MPs from all four corners of the United Kingdom, sitting opposite them and helping them understand what the consequences are for them, their family, their future. The food production is the best way of turning this around. There's also another event being organised where thousands of farmers and non-farmers, but those that just support the industry, will be in attendance to demonstrate their strength of feeling about what this means to the countryside, to the rural United Kingdom. That show of unity, that show of support is going to be incredibly powerful. And I just hope that however difficult it is for the government to accept they've got this wrong, that they're willing to sit down in a room with us to really recognise the human impacts that this policy is going to have, the pressure it's putting on individuals, and we can find a way through it.
I hope so too. Tom Bradshaw, President of National Farmers Union, a pleasure speaking to you. I'm telling you what, if the cavalcade of farm vehicles comes through London, I'm going to be there, tears in my eyes, cheering them on.